Alright, so I'm going to start a new project here, and let's make this bigger. Alright, so I have Eclipse here, and I'm going to start a new project. Let's close all we did last time. I'm going to make a new Java project, and I'm going to call this, I don't know, Casino or something. I'm gonna make a new class. I'm not gonna call this die, and I am not gonna have the main there. Alright, so looks like I need to import the java.utility.random, right? So I'm going to have a section for my instance variables, and I only have one, which is the private int value. I have static variables. I'm just gonna have a section because I like my documentation well, and I have a private static random and I have another section for constants, and there's my public static, and the word final makes it a static, constant, and I know it has 6 sides, right? Alright. Then I have my accessors. Now I have my public and get value. And if I want a Java doc, returns or gets the current value of the die, right? And do I have mutators or getters or setters? I'm sorry. Well, I have one. It's a role, but the user doesn't input the value. And the value is simply here, rand.c, there's the next int with an argument. I put sides, +1. I'm gonna put it in one line here, so I got more real estate. And so I can add my Java doc, rolls the die, and sets its value use get value, I guess, to read. Something useful in the description. And then you have another section for constructors. Doesn't matter if the constructors are in the top and I have one and here is where I check if the variable random exists, and if it's not, then create a new one, right? So I have some explanation. And then I said I guess you can always start with value 6, or you can hard code the number there. Something important, and you will probably forget, but I'll remind you. In a constructor, usually if I'm gonna set the value of one of the instance variables, I repeat again, if in a constructor I'm going to set the value of one of the instance variables, it is best practice if I call the mutator rather than hard coding the number. Okay? So far so good? Alright. So I'm gonna make another class. So this class die, so the class die, do you see asking the user anything? Do you see displaying anything back to the user? No. That's because we don't have a main. So when you have a program, a project, it is good if you have a class that deals with the user interaction. And you can use these other classes to store and do calculations, do whatever you need. But usually these classes don't really talk to the user. So what I'm going to do is create another class, new class. I'm gonna call it game, okay? And this one, I'm gonna check the checkbox that says public static void main. Now I have two classes, huh? I have a die class and I have a game class. Alright. So let's pretend I'm gonna play 21. Well, 21 usually it should be I'm gonna do it with one die. but whatever game, well, usually you have 2 dice, right? You can modify that later. Actually, we'll make that your homework. I'll put it in the website later. So I'm gonna make a pull excited final, and yeah, so that's the max number you can get, 21. Although I played this other game, it was like a variation of blackjack, which you can go to a free bet blackjack, it was called. Never heard of it. Where apparently if the dealer busts, but if he busts at 22, it's a draw. It's a tie. I'm like, okay. Alright, so I'm gonna have a variable called count. Not count, maybe something that will hold my current value. You know, I call it current value. How's that? And it starts at 0. Right? And I'm gonna have another one called user input. Well, basically, I'm gonna ask the user, press 1 if you wanna continue, any other number to stop. So if I'm looking for a specific value in my while loop or any loop being entered by the user, it's called a sentinel. So this will be a sentinel. Sentinel was somebody was watching, you know, and back in those medieval times, in the top of the tower. I don't know if they call the same the guys that were in the mast of a ship looking for land or something. Anyways, oh, I need my section, right? Local variables or variable declaration. And I need the die. I need my die. I'm gonna do it at once here. Create one die to play. So I'm gonna roll the die at least once, right? So if I'm gonna roll the die at least once, I'm gonna do this do. Now I got a squiggly line at the closing curly bracket because I haven't done the wild section, but that's okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is roll my die. Oh, look at the Java doc. Rolls the die and set its value. Use get value to read it. So use the roll. And there you go. And then my current value will be whatever the current value is plus whatever the new value of the die is, right? Get value. Now I'm gonna tell the user, oh wait, how can I read from the user? I need the scanner class, right? Let's add the scanner too. Scanner, keyboard equals new scanner. If I'm doing the user interaction, there you go. Oops, I need to import the java.utility.scanner, right? There it is. And I'll say I print something. Your current score is what is it? Current value. Plus, let's put it in another line here. You like to roll again or something? 1 equal yes. And then I ask the user. So I'll say user input is gonna hold whatever the user entered, right? So now that user input is gonna be my escape clause. And I'll say, oops, sorry, while user input equals 1. So as long as the user keeps hitting 1, the die will keep rolling and the score will be incrementing. After the loop has exit, then I can do a print out. And then you can do more if statements there to determine if they busted or not, or if you're playing against somebody or against the dealer, who wins. And that's it. Let's roll it. Let's roll the die. So look at this now. My initial value was 6. Do I want to roll this again? Sure, press 1. So basically I roll a 3. You want to roll again? Yeah. 15. Yeah, sure, I can roll. Right. Oh, I'm right at 21, so it doesn't matter what number I enter. I could put 8 or 0 or something. It'll stop, right, because it's not equal 1. What I can do here, you rolled plus let's do this. To make it more descriptive. So you roll 1 and your current value is 1. You want to roll? Yeah, of course. You roll 2 and the current value is 3. So you can see if it's actually working. So there, if I roll 6, I lose, but 18, do I want to roll? According to the rules, you should stay. Oh, so I bust there, right? Questions? I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. How do I do a breakpoint? See this blue sidebar? I'm gonna put the double click on this, and it puts a dot. It says line breakpoint, and you see this insect icon on top. It's called debug. If I run this, yeah, sure, allow access, yeah, I want to run. Look at this. That highlighted green line is where the next line to execute is. That's where my breakpoint is. So my current value is 0. My user input is, I haven't set it, but it's actually 0. Notice here. And then my die hasn't been declared. And see these arrows here? There's a step into and a step over. If I do step into, it's gonna go to inside of whatever function it's calling, and it's calling the function die. So notice here, it was in line 11 on the game class. Now it's on line 22 of the die class. I keep going in, and it says, it's ran. What's the value of ran? Ran is null. Then I'm gonna step over that one. Know what's the value of ran? Oh, there you go. See random.utility, java.utility.random at, and there's the hexadecimal address where it's physically loaded in memory. And then, oh, it hits roll. If I step into the roll, it goes to the roll. So current value is 0 because every class is initialized to 0. And then it rolls. Oh, now it went back. What's the current value? 2. So sees the exit curly bracket, goes back to where it was called from. So it was called from game class function main line 11. And now my die has nothing, but the right side of the equal sign has some value because it allocated the RAM for the die. And now if I scroll over, there you go, die is at that address. And it has an instance variable called value, and the value is 2. Same thing with the scanner. I'm not gonna go into it. Now I'm gonna roll the die. Although it's already rolled, but I'm gonna roll it again. So right now I've got 6. So it's gonna say my current value is 0 plus whatever this is, 6. Now current value is 6. And also here is highlighted yellow because that's the last variable to change. And then displays the value. And then it reads from the user. Now it's waiting for my input here. I say sure, hit 1. And then sees this user input equal to 1, yes, and then I can continue on. That was the debug mode. Questions? Alright, I'm gonna give you homework for this. So I hope you saved it. So you're gonna need it.